Hey everybody! One of you asked me to show a bit of a history of DNA shoes. And because it's something I already had in mind to do in these lockdown days, here it is. The first loafers would be these two here, these three actually. And I chose a tasseled loafer. See, this has got the old DNA groove sign. What was important for me was the flat toe, the chisel toe, which especially at the time, this is again, I think it was 2000 or 2002, like early 2000, I can't exactly remember. Really hard to find in the market, because usually these kinds of loafers all have a bit more pointed, like Basswegians and such, which didn't really float my boat. So anyway, so these are all flat fronted with the beef roll. This is the beef roll, yeah, for those who don't know the technicalities. Okay, stitched. All stitched sole. I'll get into the sole construction later on. Anyway, so tasseled loafer and the Venetian, flat fronted. Okay, first DNA shoes with the DNA label, but they weren't my designs. Okay, these weren't my designs. That was the first approach I had with shoes. Then, after a couple of years of those, I said, right, I want to start making shoes, because they only had those which were the interesting bit. I wanted to make lace-up shoes. So I approached a local company to me. This is northeast Italy in Vicenza. And we started. So this was a sample. Dusty. This is the first DNA sample, okay? Again, flat chisel toe here. It had a center seam and the long lacing, okay? Very thin sole. This is cemented sole, full leather. And great leather. And still had the companies make their logo, because when they made the sample, they just put their logo here, because I didn't even give my own logo. So this was their first. This is the very first DNA, and this was the suede version of this, basically. Okay. This was this is this one here. This was the flyer I did for the new shoes. You're probably going to read this wrong way around. It just says DNA Groove Hip Sharp Italian. That was the catchphrase I used to use at the time. So those are the first shoes there. And then from then on, I just kept making shoes. Now these are some older types. Some of you may have this. This is a slip-on loafer. Again, the Italian makers. I did my chukka boot. This is quite old as well. Fantastic. Did this as a sample. Many of you liked this. I wear these sometimes, and over the years, people kept asking me, why don't you make them? The problem with this was the rubber red sole. They had run out, and between when I got the sample, because every sample usually especially at the time, but usually even now, I get a sample, I use it, and then I'll go into production. Got this, used it, but between the time I was using it until the time I decided to go into production, they had already run out of the soles. No more soles, no more shoe. So a quick explanation regarding the construction, shoe construction. There is cemented, right? The cemented shoes. The Italian ones were all cemented. Great quality. Cementing construction, meaning that they basically glue the sole onto the shoe. No stitching. A way you can tell if a shoe is cemented or not. I never put the false stitching. Many times you will see stitching. For example, this one is a good example. This one here. You see there's stitching here? That's all false. It's a cemented, it's glued. So many times you will see a shoe with stitchings, but that doesn't mean it's stitched. To see if a sole is stitched or not, do not only look underneath, but mainly look at the inside. And there should be stitching there. That's one of the ways, that's the only way actually you can tell if a shoe is stitched or not. Goodyear welting is very highly overrated, as far as I'm concerned. For a lover of thin shoes, Goodyear welting is great for long term. So if you want a shoe to last you 30, 40 years, Goodyear, no doubt. It's much easier to repair as in to replace the sole. But as far as comfort, practicality, and quality price ratio, you know, because it's a Goodyear welted shoe doesn't mean it's a good quality shoe. They usually are, but it doesn't automatically translate to that. They usually are. Better quality shoes are usually, yes, Goodyear welted, if that's the style they're going for. You will never find a fine as in thin, lightweight loafer or shoe in a Goodyear welt. It just can't be done. So the next step from Goodyear would be the Blake, which would be the Blake construction, okay? I think that a glued sole on shoes compared to a stitch sole, I personally don't think there is any difference. The quality of a shoe is all on the raw material, on the leather. The only thing is, of course, if it's cemented, it's close to impossible to have the sole repaired, substituted. I have had people do it, but it is very hard. So yes. So I would say that the main importance is that if you have many shoes and you will be doing a lot of rotations to them, then if the sole is glued or not doesn't really make a difference. It's all on the longevity of the shoe. Even stitched soles have glue on them. Okay, glue. It's not that it's just the stitch keeping the sole to the upper. There is glue. Okay, so glue is always involved, regardless. That said, a stitched sole, yes, is much easier to remove and to substitute if you find the right cobbler which will do it. Lastly, my latest shoes, as many have seen, include also rubber soles. Okay, like this racing. It's because it's got this upper thing here. It was invented for when you're driving and your feet go on the pedal. This back bit here, raised back bit, helps for comfort, and for practicality. Rubber soles can also be stitched. These are all stitched. And you look inside, it's got the stitching there. You can see it at the corner, all around the inside of this bit here. So yes, so rubber soles can also be stitched. A leather sole is better than a rubber sole as far as I'm concerned for breathability. So because your foot is breathing more, so the sweat is not clamped inside, but is expelled through the leather sole. So that's the reasoning. With leather shoes, with leather sole, be it a cemented sole like this one or a stitched sole like all the other ones, you're fine. You're absolutely fine even without socks. You need quality. If, as with all garments, if the raw material is quality made, then you are at a very, very good start. So yeah, so this was a shortish explanation of the shoe history of DNA, and long it may continue. See you later.